You're sure to recognize today's guest. She's one of our favorites on Advocate Now. Body activist Jessamyn Stanley is back with us once again, and this time she's sharing her personal story on cultivating self-worth, offering her advice for turning pain into power. This is Advocate Now. Well, Jessamyn, the last time you were here, you talked about how the power that we each possess exists within our wounds. And I wanted to dive a little more into that. So can you first break down what that means to you?
Oh my goodness. I think that all of our power is in the hardest moments of our lives. And it sucks because you want to brush over it and be like, that thing didn't happen. I'm moving on. But whatever your most traumatizing event is, the most triggering thing, that was the moment when you were being tested. It is never a moment of weakness. It is always the moment where you are being tested to find out just how strong you are. And I always think that the proof of our purpose on this in this life is our survival. The fact that you continue, the fact that you did not fall, that you kept going. And I think there's a sizable argument that life never serves anything that you can't handle. Even at the worst part, it's always something that you can look back and be like, okay, so this is why that's happening. And maybe it's even on like a metaphysical, metaphorical level. But when we look at our wounds, especially if there's a physical wound, but emotional wounds run so deep, when we look at them and say, what is this offering to my life? What can I learn here? There's always so much more to learn from that place than there is from any moment of joy, any moment of happiness. All of that is kind of, it's wonderful to be happy, but really you learn about yourself when you're in pain.
Absolutely. You talk about the point of being here. The whole point of the human experience is evolution. And usually it is those traumatic experiences that help us to evolve to the next level or to the highest version of ourselves. But how did you get to a point where you recognize that? Because I think that it's common and even normal to internalize our wounds and build homes out of shame and insecurity. So how did you come to the understanding that there is purpose in pain?
Hmm. It is a process. It is something that I'm learning every day. I would not say that it's something that I'm like settled in. It is a constant progressive learning. And it started though when I was in middle school. I was bullied pretty harshly, pretty extensively when I was in middle school. And during that time, I mean, it made me feel like I had no worth and that my life did not matter. I had there was a lot of self-harm happening during that time. And I've continued to have depression and it comes in waves. And through all of that, the survival, the on and onness of it is what I think of it as, like the fact that life just continues. That has made me feel like, okay, so there's a reason behind this. It's not just happening for no reason. And also that even after the worst things happen, there's always some kind of silver lining. And it's sometimes so macabre at the moment that you can't even process it. But it's like, wow, that's a rainbow. Okay, yeah, let me just lean into that rainbow. That actually just made me think about like how rainbow is how we, like as queer people, think of ourselves. And I'm like, yep, that's right. We're always looking for the rainbow, always trying to find a smile. And I think that for me, especially like as my life has evolved, as my career has evolved, as I've become more of a public figure, I have experienced a lot of negative feedback. I was going to say critical feedback, and I was like, you could just ID it as negative. And that feedback is exactly like the feedback that I got in middle school. It is exactly like the bullying then. So that I'm like, oh, this is just like that. Okay. So every moment then when I thought it was the end, it wasn't the end then. So why would it be the end now?
Isn't it so interesting though, how similar experiences continue to manifest themselves until we have fully healed that trauma and that pain. Just as
That
a
is it.
reminder, like this still exists within you. It still exists within you and it's going to keep presenting itself until you completely dive in. But speaking of being a public figure, we talked about this last time. You do naked yoga on OnlyFans and you're inspiring people to love their bodies. But would you say that naked yoga is also a way of helping women reclaim their bodies, especially in a society that has commodified them?
Absolutely. I would definitely say that naked yoga is an incredible way to reclaim a relationship with your body. We live in a world where so many of us feel like our bodies do not belong to us. It feels like they belong to maybe to your partner, maybe to your family, maybe to the media, to your job. And being able to know that this is mine. There's a lot of stuff out there that is not mine, and this is mine. And that it's actually the greatest gift I've ever been given. It is the vehicle by which I do everything, but it's really hard to remember that. So being able to come into a practice where you are able to look at and feel your own physical body and own every piece of it, even the things that you hate. And this is a piece of it too. I think that sometimes when we talk about acceptance or liberation, it seems like it's all about happy and love and, oh my God, this makes me feel so happy. And ultimately, in my experience, it is not always about that. Sometimes it is about actively hating your body and hating very specific parts of it, maybe forever. But just accepting that that hatred is there, that is liberation in and of itself. And I think that to do that work naked is really helpful because it is like when you wear clothes, you're thinking about the clothes more than you're thinking about yourself. So stripping it all off. And then I do think it's helpful to do some sort of embodied practice. So for me, I love yoga. You can practice naked yoga with me on OnlyFans. It's dope, but it could be literally any practice. It could literally just be sitting in quiet meditation. It could be journaling. It could be sleeping. There's so many different ways to just be able to connect to the skin that you're in because we're all in some kind of skin. And if you don't respect it and accept it, there's no way that anyone else can.
It's so true. You are an advocate for body acceptance and body positivity, but unfortunately, many people get caught up with the number on the scale. They start to base their self-worth on that. Do you have any advice for breaking through that toxic idealization of thinness?
Hmm. Oh my goodness. I think the most important thing to do is to accept the way that you feel about your body, to accept that you're watching the scale, that you need to know the number, because maybe you do need to know the number. Maybe that's helpful for you. But there's a lot of conflict that happens where we're like trying to figure out the right way to be and how should I be acting. And it doesn't really matter like there's no should. It's just who you are and how you are. So that as a first step. And then really thinking critically, like, is my life somehow better when I'm at a different size? What will be better? What will be different? And what would it take for me to just sit in the now and accept exactly my body as it is right now?
Aside from naked yoga, are there any other wellness practices that you partake in to feel most aligned with who you are?
Oh my goodness, so many. I am an avid journaler and I practice, it's called tarot, but I pull cards and also affirmation cards. Reading is really huge for me and music. I think the most important thing that I do though is spend time outside and remembering that literally it could just be going outside, standing in the grass, putting my feet in the dirt, just feeling the sun on my skin or the rain and remembering that I am a human being. That means that I am of this earth. I am not a machine. I am not a computer. I'm not a robot. We spend so much time in boxes, on devices, pretending to be robots, and we're not. We're wild animals, just like every other animal. We grow just like the plants. And being able to remember that on a daily basis is crucial for me to be able to maintain.
I love that. Jessamyn, always love talking to you. Thank you so much for joining us once again.
Thank you for having me. It was lovely to be here, Sonia.
I'm Sonia Baghdadi. Thanks for watching and advocating. For more stories and content like this, visit advocate.com and advocatechannel.com.